And the Marlins get ready to face the Rockies. Don Mattingly's lineup looks like this, and it's brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
Well, at the top, D. Gordon, looking like his old self. Prado second, Yelich third, Stanton fourth, Derek Dietrich sixth at first base, and Ichiro, is now sixth, playing center field. Jeff Mathis seven, Daney eighth, and Adam Conley 9-hole.
John Gray to D. Gordon with a fastball at 94, and this ball game is underway. And Gray has really been good for the Rockies. It's really first full season in their rotation. The third overall pick out of the University of Oklahoma, and a strike to Gordon. D has had a nice road trip. The Marlins, of course, started in Chicago, lost those 3 games. A win on Friday night here and a loss last night, and Gordon slaps that one foul and out of play. 6 for 17 is Gordon. And Gray, a big guy, 6'4", 234 pounds.
Oh yeah, and he looks even bigger standing on that mound. He's got the hair flowing. Nice little intimidation factor. I like it.
Couple hits in this series, 3 runs in the 2 games for Gordon, and he gets sawed off and breaks his bat and heads back to the dugout. Let's scout John Gray, the big right-hander.
Well, he's got velocity, can dial up triple digits, usually pitches between 93, 99. Learning to pitch. He's trying to not be a thrower. He's got the stuff, but he's trying to turn that into production and consistency. 5-star run. Last 5 games, 3-0 with a 1.11 ERA.
In his last 3 starts, he beat Atlanta, won on the road in Baltimore, and beat the Dodgers. So the Marlins face the Rockies ace. And a fastball up to Gordon. 2-2. Martin Prado, Christian Yelich follow. Last night, a couple of big innings for the Rockies in a 12-6 win. Marlins come from behind win on Friday night by a score of 5-3. And the Fish return back to Miami. The Giants await tomorrow night, opening up a homestand, a 3-game series. 7 o'clock start against San Francisco. Two. Gordon slaps it up the middle, and LeMahieu backhands. He's got no chance to get D. Gordon, and Miami has their leadoff runner aboard.
Well, after what we saw last night, if LeMahieu can't get up and throw you out, you can't be thrown out. This guy's range is unbelievable, but D is looking like himself. I like the at-bats I'm seeing.
Rockies defensively in this ball game. With Tony Walters behind the plate. Here is Martin Prado. And Gordon trots back to first. 10 stolen bases for Gordon. Gray, who has that unique side saddle windup, now a little more spread out from the stretch. Close. Reynolds arrives with Gordon and the baseball at the same time.
Yeah, they're pretty fortunate that ball hit D's arm. If it didn't, it goes over there, and D's going to second for sure. I like it, though. Get out there early, test them out, see what the move is like.
Gordon was picked off in Chicago. And a fastball is up to Martin Prado. Prado, good road trip, good series. Has driven in 3 runs. Gordon still has a healthy lead at first. Walters, good catch and throw, 30% he's caught. And Prado lifts that one, fouling out of play. Rockies had Nick Hundley behind the plate for the first 2 games of the series. Of course, the Marlins are going with Jeff Mathis here on this Sunday. Ball and a strike. Gray's a good combination of power pitcher and strike thrower. His whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, is 1.134, and pitching half his games in Coors Field. That is impressive. Prado lines it into left, and that's a hit. Gordon to second. And Miami has opened this ball game with 2 hits against John Gray.
Yeah, it looked like a little hanging breaking ball. It was my first glance. I'll take another look at it here. Whatever it is, it just stayed right there. It didn't look like it had the hop on it of his fastball. But Prado does a good job. Gets those hands through there. And the Marlins are in business with 2 on and nobody out.
And here is Yelich, who's probably having the best road trip of the Marlins. 8 for 21. He was big at Wrigley, and he's got 3 hits here in 2 games at Coors. Rockies infield has shifted with Christian Adames, the shortstop. Look at where he's playing behind Gordon.
And unless that is simply to keep D. Gordon close at second base, I don't like this. Yelich hits a lot of balls through that 6-hole over there.
Yelich drives that one left center field. It's a hit. Gordon around third. It'll go to the wall. Prado coming home. Gordon scores. Prado scores. Yelich drives home 2, and Miami is off to a 2-0 start.
Well, Rich, you talk about his ability to throw strikes when you're talking about Gray. But this is what the problem is. You got to throw strikes in good spots. These strikes are right down the middle of the plate. This is center cut. And that ball is lined right over where the shortstop would normally be playing. But what a swing, what an approach, and I'm glad that the Marlins are not missing these pitches early. After a game like last night, you got to capitalize on opportunities.
Now Stanton against Gray. Yelich at second. First pitch fastball, and Stanton just missed it. He fouled it straight back. He did not miss, of course, the pitch last night from Chad Bettis in the 5th inning. The longest recorded home run by StatCast, and the longest homer ever hit here, 504 feet. The 0-1. Late on that fastball, and here's what 504 feet looks like. And sounds like. 0-2 here. Fastball in. Stanton checked his swing. And the count 1-2. It's bright. You'll see hitters with eyewear, sunglasses to fight the glare.
And to look cool.
1-2. Swing and a miss. Breaking ball. And Stanton strikes out on a slow curveball from John Gray. And that brings up Dietrich, and obviously in the 6th spot, Ichiro is going to get an at-bat unless somebody gets picked off or doubled off. So Dietrich now, who showed signs of coming out of it with a couple of hits in Chicago. And he takes a fastball up, getting the start at first base. And there is Ichiro in the 6th spot in Don Mattingly's lineup. Christian Yelich with a 2-run double. He's at second. And Dietrich fights off a fastball.
I think Dietrich may have gotten a little pull happy when he was going through that rut a little bit. Getting him back to that approach where early in the year he's hit more balls to left center than I'd seen him do his whole career. And it was playing out in the good at-bats. He pulled when it was there, but I think he got a little pull happy.
Almost the same alignment for Dietrich on the infield as the Rockies had for Yelich. And Dietrich shoots that one to left, charging his Dahl. He won't get it. It falls in front of him. And how about this? Ichiro comes to the plate with runners at the corners and one out here in the first inning.
Center fielder, number 51, Ichiro Suzuki.
Crowd very appreciative last night when Ichiro picked up 2,999. And here he is now, just one away from, quite frankly, a mark that none thought he would be able to get to. When he picked up 2,000, many thought that would be enough to get him to Cooperstown. And yet here he is, one from 3,000. And Gray misses with a running fastball.
Well, Ichiro's been good for so long. I mean, it's unbelievable, the longevity of his career, the sheer numbers.
1-0 pitch. Fouled back. There are 29 members of the 3,000 hit club. Only one of them arrived in 16 seasons, and that's Pete Rose. That changes with the next hit from Ichiro. This is his 16th year in the major leagues. Pulled it foul, and it's 1-2. Of course, our telecasts, along with NHK, going across Japan early in the morning. The biggest sports star in Japan for the last 20 years is at the plate. And the 1-2. It's down low.
Ichiro came in third in a vote to have someone's face put on currency in Japan. That's how popular he is. He came in third, Rich.
2 balls, 2 strikes. And 2 runs across. Miami off to a quick start against the Rockies ace, John Gray. And a 2-2. And he got him. Ichiro strikes out.
Good high fastball from Gray right here. Oh.
Gray is a high strikeout guy. 122 now, and this is just start number 20. And here's Mathis, who had a big hit in that Wednesday day game at Wrigley Field when he homered against his former teammate, John Lackey. Yelich, the runner, at third. Dietrich's at first. And a breaking ball is up. I think every man in uniform for both sides knows you can never have enough runs at Coors Field. And the Marlins with an opportunity to add on to what has been a 2-run inning so far.
I've called John Gray, or almost called John Gray Wolf about 3. I got to stop watching so much Game of Thrones, Rich. I mean, seriously, though, with all the hair and beards in baseball, isn't it kind of just like Game of Thrones with leggings on?
I guess you could lean, you could lean that way. Here's a 1-1. And Mathis swings and misses. Well, part of this run by the Rockies to get to 500 and get into the wild card conversation has been fueled by their starting pitching, and Gray has kind of been their leader. And his 1-2, Dietrich runs, pitches low, and no throw. And so a stolen base by Derek Dietrich, his first of the season.
Good jump. Little breaking ball there.
So 2-2 now on Mathis. It's out with Echeverria on deck now. Mathis has worked the count full. And the Marlins have pushed the Rockies' ace to 30 pitches. Mathis calls time before pitch number 30 is delivered. You see Tony Walters and his sunglasses behind the plate, and the Rockies catcher. Mathis drives it right center field. That's a hit. Yelich scores. Dietrich scores. And Miami has 4 right out of the gate here in Denver.
Nice at bat by Mathis. That stolen base by Dietrich is huge because now that second runner right there gives the Marlins a 4-run lead. I'll tell you, Mathis has had some good at bats this year. I know the average doesn't really portray that, but he could very easily be hitting 270 with the balls that he's hit hard this year.
The last time John Gray gave up 4 runs in a start, it was June. So the Marlins get 4 here in the first inning. And here is Echeverria. Echeverria 2 hits in this series, and he's hitting 7 straight ball games. And the Marlins have had a decidedly opposite field or up the middle approach to Gray. Gordon's base hit was up the middle. Yelich opposite field. And Mathis to right center as well. Mathis at first. And the 0-2.
I'll tell you exactly what these at-bats are for the Marlins. These at-bats are at-bats of a team that knows that a guy does not pitch in well. They're staying on the pitch. They're staying away. Even though he throws 93 to 99, they're not worried about him inside. So that's just a good game plan. And he hasn't proven that he's going to throw in consistently.
Another 0-2. And it's away, and you can see the pitch count rising. Pitch number 35 coming. And the Rockies bullpen is active. Busted bat and a slow roller. LeMahieu whips it to first, but a big start for Miami. The Marlins 5 hits and 4 runs. And this game has just begun. Just a gorgeous August afternoon at the foot of the Rocky Mountains. And here come the Rockies, 15-7, best in baseball since the All-Star break. And they line up in this orderly fashion, brought to you by UHealth Sports Medicine.
Charlie Blackmon leading off again. He had that leadoff homer last night. DJ LeMahieu, David Dahl, Nolan Arenado end out the top 4. Mark Reynolds, Gerardo Parra, Christian Adames, Tony Walter is getting started catcher today, and John Gray, John from House of Gray, is batting 9.
Here's Charlie Blackmon. And a fastball for a strike from Adam Conley, who, as you heard, grew up south of Seattle in Olympia, Washington. And as a kid, when he discovered baseball, the Seattle Mariners were roaring. And Ichiro had just arrived from Japan. In the air, Prado, he makes the catch. Charlie Blackmon is out number 1. Good out to get for Conley. Miami defensively, the Echeverria catch, one of the highlights in this series. Southwest brings it to you. Ichiro's in center with Stanton and Yelich beside him. Prado and Derek Dietrich on the corners. Danny Echeverria, D. Gordon up the middle, and Jeff Mathis gets the start with Conley. Adam, his last time out, just 4 innings, 5 hits, and a couple runs against the Cubs, and he throws a strike to LeMahieu. But in those 4 innings, he threw 97 pitches. The Marlins were down. They had a chance to pinch hit, and they did in the 5th. LeMahieu has been a beast in this series. 5 hits. He's walked 3 times. I mean, the Rockies really yesterday showed what this offense can do as they batted around in both the 6th and the 7th inning and wiped out the Marlins 12-6. And LeMahieu, Blackmon were in the middle of it. You see the current homestand. He has the best home average, and that's not a surprise in all of baseball at 384. And he walks. Conley, a 1-out walk, and it brings up the rookie David Dahl.
LeMahieu is a line drive hitter. And when you're a line drive hitter in this ballpark, you're going to do well. The guys who come here and think about the home run, you might hit one every now and then, but you're not going to get as many hits. If you hit line drives in this ballpark, your slugging percentage is going to way up simply due to doubles and triples.
Dahl, who has a swing that reminds everybody of Christian Yelich. With LeMahieu at first. And he's, talk about baseball history, he's 5 away from a major league record. Consecutive games with a hit to start a career. He's at 12. Bounces it to second. Gordon backhands. Echeverria turns in time. And the Marlins get a double play. 4-0 after 1 in Denver.
Ground ball up the middle into center field. A base hit. Ichiro with his first hit in the major leagues.
That was his first hit. And when he got back to the dugout, Lou Piniella, as fiery a manager as there ever has been, planted a big kiss on his cheek because Piniella was so proud and so happy that Ichiro had his first hit in the big leagues. And when asked after the game how he reacted to it, Ichiro said, "I thought it was gross." But he would soon learn that Piniella is a guy that wears his emotions, good or bad, happy or sad, on his sleeve. Conley takes, and John Gray right now has fallen behind Adam Conley at 3-0. Marlins sent 8 men to the plate. 4 of them scored in the first. Conley, Gordon, Prado scheduled here in the second. If you're just arriving, Ichiro struck out against John Gray back in that first inning, and Gray having all kinds of technical difficulties. He walks Conley, and that brings up Gordon.
Well, one thing that you mentioned is he does have good control. And when you're pitching in this ballpark, if you're going to have any type of success, when you saw the numbers coming in, you got to throw strikes. I think right now maybe just a little something funky mechanically. He threw strikes in the first inning, but they just weren't quality strikes. Found a lot of the strike zone up in the zone.
D. Gordon with an infield hit in the first, and D has hit in 8 straight. Shortens to bunt and takes in. You've got Arenado creeping in at third, but you've got Reynolds holding the runner at first.
Well, so far today, Gray is only 2 of 10 in first pitch strikes. That's how you get 4 on the board in the first.
Slowly hit to second. LeMahieu, Adames, not in time. And so essentially the Marlins for an out swap Gordon for Conley at first. Prado now. Gordon thought about running, started, and a quick throw by Walters, a former infielder, a lot like JT Realmuto. And a lot of those former infielders that become catchers are very quick from glove to hand to ball at base.
And they're very quick with their feet, and that's what makes them quick with the other stuff. Infielders are so agile with the quick first step, trying to get the right angle. When you have to pop up like that, you got to have quick feet.
Prado slices that one foul, and it's 0-2. You can see Martin, a perfectionist, one of the more creative hitters in an incredible season. 320 average right now. Prado, one of the best with runners in scoring position. Right now in that top 10 in the National League. Gordon runs. Prado trying to shoot it to right. Fouls it off.
Well, 0-2 count, got to protect. He got a pretty decent jump, but tough pitch to handle it.
The creative process there for Prado. You see that back foot slide back and close his body down, trying to shoot it to right. Let's see if he can poke it that way here. Takes outside, and it's 1-2. Prado's best season average-wise in just 78 games back in 2008, before he was a regular, hit .320 for Atlanta. Once he became a regular for the Braves in 2009. He's been up over 300 a few times. Gordon is back. 307 in both 09 and in 10. 301 in 12. Split his time in 2014 with Arizona and the Yankees. And last year a .288 average for the Marlins. He's getting closer. That ball is foul, but not as wide a margin as the others. And you've got Gray, who is pounding fastballs. Prado, who continues to aim at that hole on the right side with Reynolds holding the runner. And the pitch count for Gray is enormous right now, 46. Gordon runs, and Prado lines it foul again. Who blinks here?
Well, I think Gray's going to stay with the fastball. The first at bat, it looked like something that was off speed that just didn't get where he wanted it to, and Prado was able to get the bad head out. And right now he's got Prado behind the fastball, so I think he's got to stick with the fastball.
One-two coming. And he got it. How about that? Prado finally dialed it in. Man, what an at-bat by Martin Prado.
I don't know what this pitch was, but it's 89 miles an hour. And Prado just does it good. He just battles. So he extends out towards right field. Watch the back foot leave the ground with the weight transfer. See, when that foot comes off the ground, that's just that weight, that power transferring through the zone, so he's not really hanging on to it.
That's absolutely textbook. And so here's Yelich, who punched a 2-run double to the wall in left center back in the first.
You know, a lot of young pitchers, when they throw a changeup, they drag their foot. And it's the same concept. You want everything up top to look the same, the arm speed, the body action, all of that. But when you drag your foot, it slows the arm down a little bit. So same thing there. When you're hitting, when you come off that backside, when you get that swing, that's releasing all that energy out towards the field.
Remember a few years ago when the Rockies went with a 4-man staff but limited their starters to like 65, 70 pitches? If that were the case here, Gray would be in real trouble. Well, actually more trouble than he's in right now, with Yelich sitting on a 1-0. And a fastball for a strike. Bullpen was active in the first. Miami got 4. And the Marlins have 2 on here in the second. Gray, who's on such a nice run. His last 5 starts, an ERA of just over 1.11. Big lead by Gordon, not running, and Yelich pulls it to the right side. Reynolds goes to second, gets an out there, but not at first. Yelich beats it. And that'll buy in at bat for Giancarlo Stanton. So at the corners for Stanton, and he struck out on a slow breaking ball back in the first. It was fastballs early and then the breaking ball to finish Stanton off in his first at bat. Stan got jammed and he loops it out into center. Blackman is there and he makes the catch. Miami leads 2. The pitch count at 53 for John Gray, 4-0 Miami. Rockies ace John Gray right now. You can see not real pleased, trying to get it together. Marlins got 4 in the first, threatened in the second. Adam Conley had a nice calm first inning. He walked LeMahieu but got Dahl to bounce into a double play. Nolan Arenado takes a fastball for a strike. Mark Reynolds, Gerardo Parra will follow for the 55 and 55 Rockies. And it's been a steep ascension, not only to 500, but also into the wild card conversation. It's a ball club that's won 12 of their last 16 games. There's your wild card standings. Marlins and Cardinals both lost last night. Dodgers won, so they're up 3 games in that 1 spot. Count 3-2. Arenado, another big year. He has become one of the best players in the game. And he walks. Nobody was talking about the Rockies 2 weeks ago. In fact, if they were talking, it was about who would they trade. But guess what? Look at what they've done since the break at 15-7. And an 8-game homestand. They took 2 of 3 from the Dodgers. They've split with the Marlins, and the Rangers come in next. The ERA is impressive, too. Anytime you have a Rockies team with an ERA in the mid-3s, that's something to take note of. Here is Reynolds, and he takes ball 1.
Well, that is the biggest thing that's really propelled them back into the conversation, is they know they have offense. They got some good, really good defenders as well. But when you start getting starting pitching to go along with that, it's a big plus.
Changeup misses away. What's pitching with a lead like in a ballpark where you had success?
Pitching with a lead is throwing strikes. That's the first thing. Really, really it is. You keep the ball in the strike zone. And make that other team beat you. No free passes. Field your position after you release the ball.
There's a strike.
Challenge guys with nobody on. Solo home runs usually don't beat you in this ballpark.
Reynolds has enjoyed the series. 5 hits, including a double. Arenado at first. Conley misses out. Now, we've talked about Conley's reverse splits. Lefties have hit him better than righties. And it's interesting to see Walt Weiss's lineup with 4 lefties in. Blackman and Dahl, Parra, and Walters. 3-2. Pulled foul. We've kind of been waiting for managers to try that, to put lefties in, or more lefties than usual, against a lefty starter. And it looks like Walt Weiss has done that here.
Well, I can see how the lefties that are more geared towards left field would have good success against Conley. I also can see how with him throwing across his body that way, that righties tend to pick up the ball late off of him. I see more late swings on a fastball that's 91 miles an hour from him to right-handed batters than I do in any other matchup.
Right-handed bats at 225 against Conley. Lefties at 306. And he gets Reynolds. So first strikeout. And it brings up Gerardo Parra.
All right, this is just a fastball right here. Up and out of the zone just a tad, but again, Reynolds doesn't look like he's on time with that.
Gerardo Parra, 2-time Gold Glove winner. That was back in his Diamondback days. Parts of 2 seasons with Milwaukee and the last 55 games last year with Baltimore. Signed as a free agent here. A 3-year deal. His playing time, now obviously he's coming off the disabled list, but it'd be interesting to see his playing time with the emergence of David Dahl. Parra is giving Carlos Gonzalez a day off here. You expect the everyday lineup's going to have Gonzalez in it. It's going to have Charlie Blackman in center. And that one fouled at the plate. The count is 0-2. Ichiro, 0 for 1, is due up second in the top of the 3rd.
Okay.
Jeff Mathis out for a chat with Conley. Foul tip. Got a pretty good piece of Mathis. With what Dahl's done offensively, I don't know how you can keep him out of the lineup on a daily basis. Parra bounces it to second. Gordon Echevarria, and Adam Conley rolls another double play. 4-6-3, just like the one that ended the first. Ichiro is coming up, one shy of 3,000. He'll hit second in the top of the third.
Ball one ball and no strikes. And that's lined down the right field line. There's number 2,000 for Ichiro, and it's going to be an extra base hit. And for those who know what has happened, a standing ovation here for Ichiro. That's hit number 2,000 in his unbelievable career.
Just one of the milestones. Ichiro got that hit in 2009. It was a double. He was 35, Preston, when he had that hit. And of course, the voice on that call, the Hall of Famer Dave Niehaus, who got to call so many of Ichiro's big moments. And sadly, he would pass a year later. 9th year in the big leagues, 35 years old, and he gets to 2,000. Dietrich pulls it foul. And it was at that point, Preston, that people looked at his age and looked at the hit total and said, you know what? Maybe he gets to 2,500. But he's going in the Hall of Fame because, of course, 10 straight All-Star teams, 10 straight Gold Gloves, an MVP, couple batting titles. He had burned so bright in that 10-year window that I think most people felt at that point that he was headed to Cooperstown.
You and I both know how much Ichiro respects the game of baseball, how much of a baseball historian he is. He seems like the type of guy that he would not have been happy or as satisfied or gratified with going into the Hall of Fame because he got 2,000 hits.
Well, the funny thing is, when he arrived in the big leagues and had his first season, an MVP season, he showed up at the Hall of Fame incognito. Our friend Jeff Idelson of the Hall of Fame told us that great story. While Ichiro was in his office, he got a phone call that said, "You have won Rookie of the Year. Where are you?" And Ichiro said, "Oh, I'm in the United States." That one fouled back to the screen. And as Idelson told us on the last homestand, Ichiro knows more about the game, more about the history of Major League Baseball, the record holders, the Hall of Famers, than maybe 98% of the players in uniform today, maybe even 99. Dietrich fouls it back to the screen. And people forget too, Ichiro was the first Japanese position player to be posted. And that meant the agreement between Major League Baseball and the Japanese league at the time was a player had to play 9 years before he was eligible to leave. And that's exactly what Ichiro did. And at that point, he had to go to his team, the owner of his team, the Oryx Blue Waves, and asked to be released. And then Seattle had to post a fee and then sign Ichiro to a contract. I think it was a $30 to $32 million total bill for Seattle. And a fastball, good at bat by Dietrich. It's 2-2. And that's why he arrived at 27.
And he has such knowledge of the game. And like I said, I think that him getting to 3,000 in his mind is saying, this is not a charity case because of where I started. I got this anyway.
Dietrich lifts it. Shallow center. Everybody fighting the sun out there. And it's Adames who makes the catch. And here he is for his second at bat. He hit a couple of sharp foul balls, including one that he pulled that was foul down the line and then struck out on a fastball. For perspective, Ichiro's debut was at 27. The last 5 to reach 3,000. Alex Rodriguez was 18. Jeter was 21. Biggio 22. Palmeiro 21. Ricky Henderson was 20. And a strike. It's 0-1. And he fouls it off the catcher. And quickly he's behind 0-2. Two good at bats last night. The ground ball down the third base line for an infield hit, and then the sharp grounder that was knocked down at the mound for an out. 0-2. Up the middle, and Gray has it. And Ichiro is 0 for 2 in his quest today for 3,000. And that brings up Jeff Mathis. What have you seen in the at-bats against Gray from Ichiro?
Well, Gray seems to be trying to tie him up a little bit with the fastball around the hands. Seeing the velocity come into play. But Ichiro's also had, I think he's had some pretty good swings.
Jeff Mathis now. And he takes outside. Mathis, well, the last two swings of his bat have been pretty darn productive. Remember, he had the big home run, the 2-run shot against the Cubs on Wednesday, and a 2-run single to finish off the first here. He floats that one foul and out of play. Giants tomorrow night. Jose Fernandez, Johnny Cueto. San Francisco already on the East Coast.
There's some good off speed from Gray. Really had Mathis fooled.
Giants actually shut out by Tanner Roark and the Nationals. A 1-0 Washington win. Gray misses up. He needs some quick innings here if he wants to pitch into the 5th or the 6th. Next pitch will be number 70. Two and two. Good at bat here, stretches the count to 3-2. So the Nationals beat the Giants 1-0. Marlins paying particular attention to that game in St. Louis, where the Braves again are on top of the Cardinals 6-3, and that's top 9. That'd be a nice shot in the arm for the Fish if Atlanta can take that series and beat the Cardinals today. That pop-up behind the plate is going to get over the screen. And of course, the Mets, the other team that's involved with the Marlins in both the East and in the wild card, the Mets bounced back and beat the Tigers 3-1. And New York is now 57-54. Miami trying to win its 59th game here. That's strike 3 called. A little delayed call by Andy Fletcher, but a strikeout for Gray and a 1-2-3 third.
As a hitter, you always want to be a 300 hitter, and you always want to get 3,000 hits. Of course, not many get an opportunity to play that long or to stay healthy that long. What Ichiro's done is especially incredible because he obviously had an extraordinary career prior to getting to Major League Baseball. And then what he's done here, he certainly has an incredible legacy in American baseball.
Ichiro today is 0 for 2. Miami's on top 4-0 here in Colorado. T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball. If you missed it today, Alex Rodriguez and the Yankees announcing that his final game will be Friday at Yankee Stadium. I told you yesterday Tim Lincecum designated for assignment by the Angels, and it's Griffey weekend. in Seattle. I think they were flying his number 24 above the Space Needle. And to tie that all together, remember when Ichiro arrived in Seattle, that was the year after Alex Rodriguez left. Texas waived all that money, and Rodriguez ended up in Texas, and that freed up some money for Ichiro, and he stepped in 2001. And of course, they were teammates with the Yankees for 2.5 seasons. Adames with a single to center. There's that matchup tomorrow night, 6:30 for Marlins Live.
You see that stroll on Ichiro? Like he's a rock star, man.
He is, and I mean, one of the best parts about every game is Ichiro in the handshake line right before the start of the game. Because you've got guys that are 24, 25 that grew up watching Ichiro, and now they've got their own special handshake with Ichiro. Tony Walters, the Rockies catcher. This just the start. Walters fouls it at the plate. Adam Conley's used a double play to extract himself from the first and the second. The pitcher spot is on deck. Walters fouls that one back. 24-year-old out of San Diego. It's a guy that the Rockies picked off of waivers from the Cleveland Indians, a third-round pick of the Indians. Known for a great throwing percentage once he was converted from infield to behind the plates. High 40% caught stealing in the minor leagues.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, where guys don't know how to hold runners on. Two and two. Now he's gone 3 and 2. Conley's pitching with the lead, but he's walked a man in each inning.
And you can't continue to do that in this ballpark. At some point, those free passes will catch up to you. I mean, thus far, he's been able to get the ground ball to get the double play right after it. But you don't want to live on that line.
It's in. And Walters walks. Adames to second, and here comes Gray. Now the Marlins defensively with runners first and second, and Gray at the plate, and in all likelihood trying to bunt. Wheel play is on, and a throwback with Gordon covering.
You know, that play is designed to not only possibly get a pickoff or a sleeping runner, but also that's going to make that base runner hold up just a little bit longer to make sure that those infielders have vacated before he stretches out that lead.
Pitches out. Remember, it's Derek Dietrich at first, not an experienced first baseman. Still kind of learning the ins and outs of that position. And a strike. Ball and a strike. And Gray squares again. He bunts it. Conley fires to first to get the out. And the Rockies are set up for Blackman and LeMahieu at second and third.
Watch this job. See the barrel above the bat? That's good technique right there. Some guys get that barrel dipped down below their hands. The bat's angled up. You're going to be more likely to hit the top of the ball. Is it a great bunt directionally? No. But he got on top of it. The ball died enough. He was able to advance both base runners. That's good technique by the young man right there, Mr. Gray.
Now Blackman, who had a big night last night. And Conley's pitch is in. Miami's infield is back, except for Prado, who's even at third. Blackman pulls it foul. Even the leadoff hitter in this ballpark gets RBI opportunities, and Blackman is driven in 49. 368 on base. His slugging percentage at 478. Good crowd on a Sunday. Smoked into right field. That's a hit. Stanton on a hop. Runner holds third. And a high throw. Blackman takes second. And a couple things go wrong there for Miami.
Well, we talked about the free passes coming, catching up to you at some point. This is part of it right here. Charlie Blackman, nice base hit. You got to get the ball down, though. You have to get the ball down. You cannot allow that runner to reach second base.
And the throw came from right, and obviously the Rockies were holding the runner. Now Stanton may not have been aware of that, but his throw was high, and so here's LeMahieu with runners second and third. And the Rockies a great opportunity to draw even closer.
Yeah, see, that's one of those plays where there is no stat for that. That's not going to go on your baseball card or go on your career line, but that's an error.
And so Conley now facing the Rockies second baseman. LeMahieu walked back in the first. Seemingly every Rocky has a high on base and a high slugging. And LeMahieu no different. On base at 400. A liner, Etch, got it before it hit the ground. And that's the second out of the third inning.
That's a huge out right there. And nobody in this ballpark is hoping that that run on second doesn't score more than Giancarlo Stanton right now, or that Conley can get out of this inning without that run on third scoring.
Walters the runner at third. And it's Blackman out at second. And here's Dahl. He bounced into a double play back in the first.
Because as an outfielder here, you don't throw guys out at the plate that often. You're just way too far back. It usually has to be a guy who doesn't hit for extra base hits at the plate.
Up the middle, Gordon backhands, quick throw, and he's out. Bang, bang, and it saves a run. D. Gordon, the Gold Glover from last year, saves Adam Conley and Giancarlo Stanton. Today, at the foot of the Rockies here in Denver, the Marlins a 4-1 lead. Echeverria's pop-up is in a tricky spot, and it's going to fall for a hit. That is where struggling hitters go to get base hits at Coors Field. As Preston pointed out with the Stanton throw, outfielders are much deeper here than they appear in your mirror.
Just a long way to run for the right fielder. The second baseman definitely can't get that far out there. Though that's one of those parts of the ballpark where those extra hits you find during the season that occur here in Coors Field.
Now Conley probably bunting with Echeverria at first. He squares. Don't get it Arenado's way, and he pulls it perfectly down the first baseline. Reynolds has to field it, and the sacrifice is successful. Nicely done by Adam Conley, and that gives Gordon and then Prado a chance to drive in a run.
Yeah, we gave John Gray some love. That's a really nice bunt by Conley. Not only the speed of the bunt, but the direction made the first baseman come field that ball. Very nice.
Gordon has a hit. It's bounced into a fielder's choice. He is 1 for 2. Ichiro's 0 for 2 in this ball game. He's in the 6th spot. And with the Marlins already third time around here in the 4th inning, it looks like Ichiro's going to get plenty more chances to get to 3,000. But Gray has been tough on him. In fact, the toughest at bats for the Marlins the first 2 times through were Giancarlo Stanton and Ichiro. Stanton struck out, flied out. Ichiro struck out and bounced out. Gordon thinking bunt. And it's 2-0. Don Mattingly and the Marlins trying to win this series and get home for a 6-game homestand. The Giants for 3, the White Sox. Yeah, the White Sox. Marlins are not done yet with interleague play. The White Sox and the Royals will come to Miami, and the Marlins still have a 3-game series in early September with the Cleveland Indians, which should be a real fun trip. The Indians have a 2-game lead over Detroit going into play. Cleveland at 62 and 46. White Sox in Kansas City have been battling for that 3 spot in the Central. Gordon up the middle. LeMahieu has it. No chance. Gordon's across. He's got another infield hit.
Well, we talked about Martin Prado before, talking about him picking up that back leg. Well, there's somebody in baseball history that I know that back foot came off the ground, and it's very interesting to watch. Hank Aaron, watch him there on your left. See that weight transfer? See that extension? Back foot off the ground. Now take a look at Prado. Same thing, weight shift, back foot comes off the ground when the bat comes through. That's just releasing that energy that way. And I think Hank Aaron, if he did it that way, it's probably okay to do.
Aaron, of course, unique in that he started his baseball career swinging cross-handed. And it wasn't until a coach in his early days pointed it out. He got his hands in the standard spot with his left hand below the right hand. some felt that's one of the things that helped to build those strong wrists and those strong forearms. The Prado at bat his last time up was epic. That right side was open, and he must have fouled 6 balls off to the right side before he punched one into right field. And as a result, Gray buzzes him in. It's 1-0.
You know, this usually isn't a compliment when someone says this to you, but Martin Prado is stubborn. He's stubborn to the fact that he's not going to get away from this approach that he has working right now. He's not going to let the pitcher change him. Pleasantly stubborn.
Gordon's at first, Echeverria at third, 1 out. Prado into right field, that's a hit. Echeverria scoring, gets to the wall. Etch scores, Gordon loses the helmet, and he will score. And Martin Prado, on a 3-hit Sunday in Denver, makes it 6-1 Miami.
I mean, that's just a pro right there. He's going to wait you out. John Gray, if you think you can get me out on a Sunday, you know nothing, John Gray. Watch that back foot come up off the ground again. Ah, that's pretty. And when you do this in Colorado's outfield, take that bad angle, everybody that's on the base is going to end up at home. Oh, the speed of the ball tricked him. He took the bad angle.
That's Gerardo Parra out there. He's normally a very good outfielder.
Well, and that's another one of those. We talked about Stanton overthrowing the cutoff man. Taking a bad angle. Watch D. He's stopped. Yeah, that running around there. Oh, interesting to see D with the arm dangling a little bit. I don't know if he grabbed something or something to keep eye on. He didn't look comfortable. Maybe a shoulder. That he's not moving his arms. So that may be a shoulder or something like that.
Here's Christian Yelich with Prado at second. Yelich to left. Dahl back. It carries. Caught by Dahl at the wall. Yelich really stung it. 2 outs.
Let's get a look at D. Oh, yeah. See, whenever you see a guy not moving apart, something's not, shaking hands with the other hand. Yeah, that doesn't have the right look about it.
Here is Stanton. The only play that pops to mind was that pickoff attempt in which Reynolds lunged into Gordon as he went back to the bag.
Quite possibly.
And that was back in the first inning. 6-1 Miami. Stanton's third at bat. Stanton drives it. Right field and deep. Parra back, looking up, and it's gone. Opposite field. Stanton and the Marlins take an 8-1 lead. Number 24. Well, how about that?
Well, this is Giancarlo Stanton that everybody fears. The guy that covers that pitch. I love the two-handed finish with him. John Gray knew something was amiss as soon as he let that one go. Oh, the sound, the swing, the balance. That's that guy. That's the monster right there. Oh, yeah.
There's the reaction from the bench, and the reaction from the Rockies bench is Walt Weiss on his way out, and he asked for the baseball, and he'll get it. Well, Giancarlo Stanton always seems to go off, so to speak, here at Coors Field. He did it last night with the longest homer at Coors Field, 504 feet. This an opposite field shot. And Stanton now with 24 home runs on the season. And a pitching change for the Rockies. Chris Russin into the ball game for Colorado. Here is Derek Dietrich. By the way, between innings, we kept an eye on D. Gordon in the dugout. He is in the dugout. You saw his reaction on the Stanton homer. And so the hope is that whatever was ailing him is not that serious. Ichiro's on deck. There's 2 outs here in the 4th. Ichiro is 0 for 2. And Dietrich gets the first at bat against Russell. And a slider misses. It's 1-0. Dietrich, a single, a stolen base, and he's popped out. Russin just came off the disabled list. Spent some time in the rotation for the Rockies. Better as a reliever than a starter. 2.41 ERA out of the pen. An ERA of just over 5 in the rotation. All right, we were thinking out loud, how might he have injured that shoulder? And it wasn't the play that Reynolds leaned into him. It was D on that dive, and he wasn't touched.
Well, when you're diving back like that, you're diving back in a way that your shoulder is really taking the brunt of your body weight because of the angle that he went back. And sometimes it goes away right away. Sometimes it might linger for a couple innings, but it's really just the stress put on everything around that joint on that play. It doesn't feel great.
Full count to Dietrich. Ichiro waiting on deck. Russin in relief of John Gray. 0 for 2 is Ichiro. And Gray hasn't had many starts like this lately. His last 5 starts coming in, an ERA of just over 1. Dietrich lines at left field, and that's a base hit, and here comes Ichiro. 2 hits for Dietrich.
Center fielder number 51, Ichiro.
And Ichiro
Suzuki
gets his 3rd crack at it. Well, maybe a lefty is the trick. One of the charms of Ichiro throughout his career, this is year 16, a higher average against lefties than righties.
Well, I think this is it right here. I really do. Just my gut feeling.
And a fastball for a strike. This season, those numbers hold out, and even a bigger margin. Infield is deep, especially Arenado at 3rd. And Russin trying to get the corner. It's a ball and a strike. And now the 1-1. That is strike 2. Dietrich, with Reynolds holding him on, has opened that right side up. And a 1-2 up the middle to first, and he is out. Bang, bang play at first, and Ichiro is 0 for 3. Nice play by Adames. 8-1 now. Miami on top.
この打席も一度追い込まれました。ピッチャーゴロ。際どいタイミングだがアウトだ。
That's a shot inside the NHK production truck. They have been following Ichiro ever since he stepped on the fields in Japan as an 18-year-old. And they were in Seattle when he arrived there in 2001. They followed him to New York as a Yankee. And they've been present in Miami. And of course, as Ichiro has crept closer to 3,000, the press corps and the group following from Japan has grown back to what it was when he first arrived in the United States back in '01. There's about 75 to 95 traveling following Ichiro. Arenado, high, deep, Ichiro, and it's gone. Ichiro had a look, but Arenado cranks one against Adam Conley, and it's 8-2.
This is what Nolan Arenado does. He produces runs, whether it's driving someone else in or driving in himself. See where this pitch is supposed to be, see where it ends up. Not in a bad spot as far as hiding his own, but that's just a really good swing going down to get it. Number 28.
And that leads the National League. He was tied with his injured teammate Trevor Story. Of note, though, Giancarlo Stanton with a home run here has crept into the leader lists at 24. And so Stanton, despite that month of whatever you want to call it, slump, walkabout, slumber, struggles, despite that month, Stanton still has a shot to lead the National League in home runs.
Yeah, Stanton's bad isn't as bad as other people's bad. Because even when the average isn't there, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark at any time.
Reynolds, that's a BB, and it's by Prado. Yelich cuts it off, Reynolds around first. And it's a loud single in the bottom of the fourth. Let's check in with Jessica Blaylock. Hi, Jess.
Hey, Rich. When it comes to Ichiro, he leaves an impression on everyone he plays with, including former Yankees teammate Derek Jeter. Just recently, Jeter had the opportunity to write an article about Ichiro. In it, he describes the evolution of their friendship, their time as teammates in New York, and how he feels like Ichiro is a complete player. He says that Ichiro has been the model of consistency throughout the course of his career. But guys, the most important point that Derek Jeter makes, he says that when it comes to baseball, Ichiro wasn't just born to play the game. It's his life. It's what he was born to do, and he has been so good the entire course of his career.
Thank you, Jess. That bunt goes foul. Jeter got to 3,000 in 2011, and he did it with a home run. In fact, the last two to get there, Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter, hit home runs. Wade Boggs homered as a Tampa Bay then Devil Ray at Tropicana Field. Those are the only 3 of the 29 in the club that homered to get there. Gerardo Parra fouling that pitch off. So a home run by Arenado, a single by Reynolds, Parra who bounced into a double play. And right now, Adam Conley trying to manage this game. He's got an 8-2 lead. So it's 0-2. Carlos Gonzalez getting the day off. Gerardo Parra off the disabled list. And he rips one to right. Stanton over to get it. Going first to third is Reynolds. And the Rockies have something going. We talked about homering for your 3,000 with the Jeter and A-Rod homers fresh in everybody's mind. The first guy to do it.
2 is the count. And there's a drive. Deep right field. It is gone!
It was on this date, actually, in 1999. Wade Boggs.
Hit that makes history is a 2-run home run.
How about that? On this date, Boggs did it in '99. On a hop, Echeverria out there. Gordon's turn. That's a tough slide at second. Gordon goes down. And the Marlins, I believe, are going to look at that slide. Joe West was the umpire out there. I think the question is, did he go over the base?
I mean, I got that as a clean slide because he went through the base.
I got it as a clean slide, too. I'm with you, Preston. And Mattingly's going to go out and discuss this with Joe West.
My problem is somehow this whole staying attached to the bag has come into play. And I don't know if there's certain circumstances where they'll allow, but I've seen plays called where because the guy did not hold on to the bag that they called interference. In my opinion is if you're breaking up a double play, the ball is going to first base, so why would you need to stay on the bag at second? It's not a logical ruling.
D is signaling that he didn't think there was anything wrong with it, but it's not his decision. And there's still a good deal of gray area about this call in the game, much like the first few years, and actually, quite honestly, still now with the home plate collision. That's a good illustration that players still aren't sure what's a good slide and what's not a good slide.
Yeah, so don't feel bad at home if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out, well, what exactly is a good slide? Well, players don't really know as much anymore, just like a lot of players don't know what to do when you come to home plate because of the new non-collision rules with the catcher. So right now it's a learning process for everyone in baseball to try to figure this thing out.
It is a Marlins challenge.
Well, there are two things. Is the contact above the knee. There's that factor, and like I said, the part that I really don't agree with is a guy having to be able to maintain contact with the base.
Well, I think in play here, if we could see it again, the fact that he slid over the base and through the base might be problematic.
But he makes contact with the ground before the base. That's what I'm saying. He didn't slide across he didn't jump across the base and then hit the ground afterwards. He made contact with the ground before the base. That's clean to me.
And quite honestly, the Marlins have not been involved in many of these at all this year. So I think he's out.
Wow.
And safe. And I think the result there, he's out at second, but safe at first. Now, wait a minute. I thought that would be. So no violation. That's what Mattingly was thinking. His reaction was he saw the out call, and he figured that the Marlins were going to get a double play. But in fact, it's out at second, which was the original call, and safe at first, which was the original call. The Marlins do lose their challenge.
I thought that was just good, clean baseball.
I'm with you.
I would be interested to see what the Marlins and Pat Shine saw that make them want to challenge that.
And that one kicks away from Mathis. And it's going to send Adames down to second. Well, again, the Marlins really haven't been involved in many of those plays at all at second base, where that second base slide on a double play has been a point of controversy, been reviewed, and been ruled on.
Right.
In New York reports the Marlins did challenge the slide rule. To left. Sends Yelich back. Adames tags, but he holds second. And Walters is out. And Chris Russin, the pitcher, is going to hit. It feels like this is the 7th inning, and it's only the 4th. The Marlins have gone almost 3 times through the lineup to a man. And the Fish with 8 runs on 11 hits. It's a foul tip and a strike. It's 0-1. But for Conley, who gave up a homer to Arenado and a couple of singles, a chance to get out of the inning with just the 2 runs. It's a bunt and a good one. Mathis, nice play. Jeff Mathis to first in time to get Russin. Rockies get 2 back, but Miami still leads it 8-3. On a sunny day in Colorado, Ichiro is 0 for 3, but the Marlins have pounded out 11 hits. Folks at NHK and we here at Fox Sports Florida all poised to watch some history. That telecast going out obviously to the country of Japan. Big ratings for the Marlins in Japan of late. Ichiro, as Preston pointed out, an absolute rock star over there still. Jeff Mathis, Danny Echeverria, and the pitcher spot, Adam Conley for Miami in the 5th. 2 4-run innings for the Fish, the 1st and the 4th. Mathis had a 2-run hit in the 1st. Mathis, another hit, right center field. Blackman collects it, and a leadoff single in the 5th inning. Out to the telecast, we told you there's a lot going on today, right? Obviously the Ichiro chase for 3,000, but the Marlins trying to keep a hold of one of those wild card spots, keep some distance between themselves and the Mets, and maybe put some pressure on the Nationals. Now, a lot of those games have played out already. The Mets beat the Tigers 3-1. The Nationals shut out the Giants. Tanner Roark 1-0 beat Madison Bumgarner. So obviously for the Fish, as far as the East goes, important to win to keep things where they were at the start of the day. The other news is that the Cardinals, the team that shares that wild card with the Marlins, lost to the Braves 6-3. And so here's Miami up 8-3, trying to get the win and get Ichiro to 3,000. It draws LeMahieu to the bag, and Adames turns it. And Russin has 2 outs. Here's Conley now, who's walked and has a sacrifice bunt. What'd you think of the Alex Rodriguez press conference today?
I think it's a situation where he just, he doesn't want to be remembered, the way this season is going. The Yankees are getting younger. They've made some move to move some pieces to say they're going in a different direction. And I think it's just the time. I think it's just time.
His final game will be Friday night. Joe Girardi said he will try to get him at bats throughout the week. Hasn't had many at bats of late. And Conley swings and misses and strikes out. Marlins done quickly. Halfway through in Colorado, it's 8-3 Miami.
You don't really teach a great hitter like that. I mean, he knows the philosophy of hitting. His IQ, like I said, is off the chart. He knows what he's doing. He has a game plan every time. His work ethics is unbelievable. And the bottom line is that everyone just needs to enjoy it and watch it happen.
Barry Bonds with the ringside seat, watching Ichiro. Of course, Marcelo Zuna on his off day would be soaking up a little more knowledge. And Adam Conley back on the hill, fires a strike. Conley would like a little easier inning than the 4th. We gave up 2. Blackman, LeMahieu, and Dahl.
Barry has a healthy respect for other major league players. Just saying, hey, a guy like Ichiro, I'm not teaching him. More than anything, he's a guy that's reminding. So if something goes out of whack, he just sends a little helpful notes to.
Gordon flips it to first. All right, we've been talking about history in this date. How about a little Geico? How about a little Barry Bonds? And how about a little Dwayne Kuiper here?
And Bonds hits one high. It's a deep. It is out of here. 7:56.
This date in Major League history, 2007, Bonds passed Aaron at 7:56. Anytime you can get Dave Niehaus with a great call, we had Ichiro's 2000, and Dwayne Kuiper on any home run call for that matter, it's a good telecast.
I want a picture of a freeze frame of Barry Bonds with his hands up in the air and Mike Basic with his hand on his hat going, I just gave it up.
1-0 pitch to DJ LeMahieu.
That just goes to show you how there's great and bad feelings on the side of that play.
Yeah, there is another side to history, right? It's the pitcher that gives up a historic hit.
Al Downing comes to mind.
Was it Eric Schau that actually sat down on the mound after giving up Rose's 3,000? Or a significant hit by Rose? Get the crack staff on that.
Yeah, everyone wants to be remembered. You just mostly want to be remembered on the good side of it.
Well, and then there's the other side. There's hitters that are on the other side of history in a significant strikeout. Wasn't Ricky Henderson a victim of Nolan Ryan?
Yeah.
In one of his benchmark punch-outs? LeMahieu walks. And that'll bring up David Dahl. Well, Conley, and I said at the outset of the telecast, you don't win at Coors Field, you survive at Coors Field. And that's kind of the case here. Nothing's been easy for Conley today. His teammates have given him 8 runs. Eric Schau gave up Pete Rose's 4,192nd hit, which made him the all-time hit king. Not queen, as Pete remarked when the Ichiro had that hit in San Diego, the hit king. Line to left, and Yelich picks it up. David Dahl with that single now at 13 straight. The crack staff has found it. Pete Rose, the all-time hit king, but the tape doesn't go far enough to see Schau sitting down on the mound. Arenado has walked and homered. And with 1 out, Conley at 75 pitches. But as I mentioned, it's not been easy. A base runner in every inning for the Rockies. He's walked 4. Crushed. Left field and out of here. And I mean out of here. And just like that, the Rockies are right back in this ball game. Second of the game, 29th of the season for Arenado.
He loves hitting with men on base. This is what he does. When he gets that traffic on the bases, he rarely misses. Came into today's game with 82 RBI. And he's added 4 to that total today.
Here is Reynolds, who takes in the blink of an eye, it's 8-6, and a lot more urgency now for Miami. On a day where the ball is jumping, Arenado's hit 2. Giancarlo Stanton has homered. And what seemed like a large lead feels pretty tiny right now.
Well, I mean, you look at those pitches were down in the zone. Arenado just, he likes the ball down out over the plate. Good swings, good plate coverage.
Ball and a strike to Mark Reynolds. That milestone strikeout for Nolan Ryan of Ricky Henderson was for 5,000. Of course, Ricky is in that 3,000 hit club. Henderson doubled back in 2001 to get there. 2-2. Hunter Cervenka, whom the Marlins acquired earlier in this series on Friday night. That one fouled back and out of play. The count 3-2. And Cervenka in uniform and warming up. Conley trying to get through the Rockies' 5th. And a running fastball. Reynolds has struck out. Now Parra, who's bounced into a double play and is singled. Ichiro, with the glasses on, makes the catch, but the Rockies are right back in it. A 3-run shot by Nolan Arenado. Red Rocks, one of the great music venues around. Buddy Guy appearing tonight at Red Rocks Amphitheater.
We just missed Buddy Guy in Chicago. Heard he was playing around that area around his birthday, and then we're going to miss him here too, Rich.
Unfortunate. But, hey, we're getting paid to go to a ball game, which ain't half bad, is it?
I kind of like this.
Yeah. D. Gordon now with Martin Prado and Christian Yelich, and a lot more urgency for the Fish here. They've had a pair of 4-run innings, but they lead the game by only 2. Gordon has 2 infield hits, and he scored 2 runs. Prado's 3 for 3. Yelich has a 2-run double. And a gorgeous bunt. Arenado lets it go, and it's foul. Arenado is Superman at third, but even he realized he wasn't going to make that play.
And this is what you want on a base hit bunt. You want it to be fair or foul, right on that edge. And somehow that ball just squirts off the grass. Man.
Now in his last at bat, his last turn around the bases, we saw D. Gordon favoring that right shoulder. He ran down into the Marlins clubhouse after he scored. He shook everybody's hand left-handed. Once he reemerged in the dugout, we haven't seen any ill effects. But this is his first at bat since, and he's bunting again. Is that a sign that possibly that shoulder's bothering him, that he bunted twice in a row?
Well, it's going to be his bottom hand, but I don't know. You see this? So the body weight is going out, and that joint has to take all that stress. Definitely a look of discomfort on his face.
So he tried to bunt twice. Rockies' corners are very deep now. And Gordon swings and misses, and that was not a free and easy swing at all.
Yeah, but I don't, because he released with one hand, and the hand that he released with was that shoulder, I don't think it's that bad if it is a little tender. You would see the wince when that weight of that bat comes around at the end, because that's when the most pressure is on there, and I didn't see that. Could be a case of just getting fooled by a pitch.
Prado now hasn't been fooled at all. He's 3 for 3. He knocked in 2 with a double in the 4th. And also has a couple of singles. A strike, and Walters is out to talk to Russin, who took over for John Gray. Marlins knocked Gray around and knocked him out in the 4th. And Gray was responsible, or is responsible, for 8 runs.
Rich, got a little inside baseball for you right here in Coors Field. Look out in center field. See that Coors sign? Well, it's yellow, but the light is bouncing off of it so strong it almost looks like a pale white. And right-handed hitters facing lefties in this ballpark in day games sometimes have a lot of trouble.
Except Nolan Arenado, apparently.
Well, he's not like everybody else, Rich.
he's crushed 2 long homers from the right side. But I see what you're talking about, because the sun is clipping it.
Once again, Rich, you have let the truth get in the way of a good story of mine.
Oh, well, come on. Wait a minute. That one fouled at the plate. Now, wasn't that sign, didn't it used to be white?
Yeah, they had a big O's Tire sign. The sign was all white. The only thing that was dark in that whole thing was the tire. And it was terrible. Jeff Francis seemingly pitched every day game he could in this ballpark. Had tremendous success. De La Rosa, when he first got here, he pitched almost every day game. And now we got Prado limping around here.
Yeah, Prado fouling that pitch off. Let's see where it got him. He's got the guard on the shin. That hits the toe.
He never hits that shin guard. Oh. Yeah, those don't feel good.
And Prado having trouble walking right now.
That is the equivalent of getting up in the middle of the night and going to the bathroom and kicking like the corner of a dresser or something. It's that intense.
And this is taking longer than normal for a guy that fouls one off his foot. And as we've seen Prado over 2 years, he's as tough as they get. So if he can't continue, you know he's in great pain. And he's looks like he's coming to the dugout. And that would be, for the Marlins, an enormous loss if it's any more than a game. And so Miguel Rojas now is going to jump on a moving train here with a 3-2 count.
Well, that's the tough part about having some type of discomfort in and at bat. If you do it on the field or out in the field, you get a chance to maybe kind of work it around and see if maybe this lingering pain will go away. But when you're in the middle of an at bat, a decision has to be made in a reasonable amount of time. So it forces the hand of the manager or the training staff to make that decision to pull that player, or that player's decision to pull himself. That time frame is a lot shorter when you're in the middle of an at bat.
And you can see Prado right now doubled over. I think he's either untying his shoe. So Prado's out of the game, and Rojas walks into a 3-2 count. Rojas trying to get the batter's box redrawn to get his bearings. Chris Russin into his 3rd inning of relief in a 2-run game in the 6th. Rojas off of Arenado into left field. Rojas around first, and he's headed to second. Now he stops, heads back to first, and gets in with a dive. A minute and a half ago, he was sitting on the bench, probably eating sunflower seeds, and now he's at first base. We'll see if it's a hit. Arenado reached for it.
Ball's got that top spin on it. See Arenado have to kind of jab for it. About 3 or 4 steps to his glove hand side. I'd say that's probably got to be a hit. If it's closer to him and he doesn't range that far, I would lean more towards error.
Yelich now 1 for 3. And Rojas at first. .82 miles an hour, and Yelich swings through it. Yelich's hit was big in the first. He drove in 2. Mathis drove in 2 in the first. Stanton a 2-run homer in the 4th. Prado a 2-run double in the 4th. Ball in the dirt. Rojas holds first. The ruling initially is E5 on Arenado. The count on Yelich right now is 1 ball and 1 strike.
Yelich swung the bat so well on this road trip. Line drives all over the place. Went deep in Chicago.
Yelich 8 for 21 coming in, and 1 for 3 here as the road trip ends today in Denver. Marlins had an 8-1 lead, and it's melted down to 8-6. Russin misses away. It's 2-2. 1 out. Stanton's on deck. Then Dietrich, then Ichiro. On an 0 for 3 day is Ichiro. In fact, every other position player in the lineup for the Marlins has a hit except Ichiro. Yelich, a ground ball. LeMahieu has it and can't get Yelich. Now that's a hit. A 2 for 4 day for Yelich. And Miami has something going with Stanton coming to the plate. This is the 4th inning homer. Now, last night was 504 feet. But this one impressive. It's opposite field.
I like it. Let the ball get there. He's not worried about trying to be too quick on that inside pitch. And when he's hitting the ball out to right field, the options for getting him out really shrink, because now he's not chasing the breaking ball as much. He's not swinging at that fastball in off the plate as much. And he can hit it to the big parts of the ballpark because there's no park that can hold it.
Fastball in. Stanton against lefties this year. 7 homers, 4 doubles. He had 79 at bats. And a 278 average.
That take right there is a sign of Giancarlo being better.
Looked like he was again thinking right field.
Well, as a right-handed power hitter, once you start thinking about being worried of getting jammed, now you give up the breaking ball, you give up the fastball away. And most of the game is going to be pitched away if you're a power hitter.
Change up on 1-1, and it's 1-2 now. His first at bat of the day against Russin. He was the last man that Gray faced.
And you have to live with that. That being a little late on the fastball in with 2 strikes. Good hitters get jammed. That's part of it. Sometimes you're lucky enough to foul it off and get another pitch to hit.
Miguel Rojas at second, Christian Yelich at first. Pickoff throw, safe. Marlins have lost their challenge. The Rockies still have theirs.
Nice try. Good timing between.
And they're going to challenge it. So the Rockies are going to challenge. I'm sure there are 2 or 3 other looks at that play at second. That last look, I don't know that you could tell anything definitive. A lot of the players watching the view up on the big scoreboard.
Well, if you're Miguel Rojas, you went from, thinking about getting loose just in case you got to come in for a defensive replacement later, maybe a pinch hit at bat. All of a sudden, you throw it into a 3-2 count. Got to be on the bases, and
well, and he is out. And a mistake by Rojas.
Yeah, you can't get picked off when you're on second base with Giancarlo Stanton hitting. That just can't happen. You're going to score on a single anyway in this ballpark. Like that's inexcusable because you're not stealing. You don't want to even be moving around back there because you don't want to be distracting Big G at the plate. You got nowhere to go.
Now Yelich is left at first, but there's 2 outs. And a 1-2 to Stanton is out. And it's 2-2. Well, another little mistake, and Miami hopeful that it doesn't bite them when this thing is said and done. Stanton up the middle, and LeMahieu playing there gets the outs, and the Marlins' 6th is done. 8-6 in Colorado. In Colorado, this one's a long way from being done. Miami had an 8-1 lead at one point. It's 8-6 now with Preston Wilson, Jessica Blaylock, Rich Waltz with you. 88 degrees at Coors Field. And the Miami debut now of Hunter Cervenka. You can see him in your shot there. He climbs up on the mound. He takes over for Adam Conley. Miguel Rojas stays in the ball game, and he's at third base. I'll try to get you a report on Martin Prado, but you saw it's pretty plain. He fouled a pitch off his left foot and could not continue. Cervenka, and his first pitch to the switch hitting Adames is ball 1. This is the year for Cervenka, and for him, this is his rookie year, his first year in the big leagues. Fires in a strike, and it's been a long and winding road to get to the big leagues. Boston, a 27th round pick, 2009. And from there, climbing up the Red Sox organization, he was acquired by the Cubs in the Marlon Byrd trade in 2012. Found himself in 2015 bouncing around with Atlanta. There's a strike, and that was after a 8-game stop with the Sugarland Skeeters of the independent baseball. But he pitched well enough in the minor leagues for the Braves, and he got himself to the big leagues this year. 2-2 breaking ball. And he strikes out Adames, and he's been really good against lefties this year, Preston. Lefties hitting just 145 against him this season.
Yeah, good stuff. Gets lefties out, which I think is the big thing. You want to make sure you got a guy there, independent, that can come in late and stop some of those big left-handed power bats that baseball has.
Now Walters. So the Marlins finally have a lefty in their bullpen. They can get lefties out, and Cervenka's been able to do that this year for the Braves. He is a big guy, 6'1", 245. Walters has walked and flied out. Remember, when you think about Prado and the ball off his foot, the Marlins are hopeful that Justin Bour is good enough to go tomorrow. He's still on the disabled list. And Cervenka comes in and gets 2 outs. Russin takes a strike. It's a 2-run game. And in the top of the 7th, it'll be Derek Dietrich and then Ichiro. Jeff Mathis. That trio due up next half inning. Ichiro 0 for 3 in this game. The Marlins have banged out 13 hits and have 8 runs, but nothing is guaranteed right now. The Rockies were down 8-1, and it's 8-6. Nice swing by Rustin, and he lines it right to Echeverria. 8-6. Nice debut by Hunter Cervenka. And here comes Ichiro. The chase for 3,000 continues. In Colorado, Ichiro goes after 3,000 next.
And a ground ball back at the wall, and there it is. He's a new all-time hit king in Major League history, number 258-505.
Anytime you get a my oh my out of Dave Niehaus, you know you've done something. That was Ichiro on that magical night back in 2004. That was his best season. He would end up with 262 hits. Of course, that hit passing the great George Sisler for most hits in a season. Sisler's family was there, and Ichiro, after that hit went over, greeted them. A very emotional scene for both of them. There is Dietrich, and he takes a breaking ball in. Today, Ichiro is 0 for 3. He's bounced out twice and struck out. Dietrich is 2 for 3, a couple singles. Flips that one foul and out of play.
We'll talk about what Ichiro had to basically endure. Being the first position player from your country to come over, and there was a lot of talk about, well, the Japanese players are good, but they're not strong enough, they're not big enough, they don't know if they can handle the major league game because they're not that strong. Well, he not only had to bear that and produce.
Dietrich lifts it to left, and Dahl is over in there, and he gets it.
But he also had to overcome that. Well, he may be good for a player from Japan. No, he's just good for any baseball player.
Well, in 2001, when he won the MVP, he quickly quieted that talk down. But you're right. Ichiro himself said when he arrived, he felt an enormous amount of pressure, not from Major League Baseball, not from anybody in America, but from his country and the league that he had played in for his first 9 years.
The ramifications of failure were much greater for him because of the guys that came after him.
Ichiro now against Russin. He's 1 hit away, and he takes out. His father was the one that taught him how to hit. He started when he was 7. And talk about pressure. When he got to high school, his father told his high school coach, don't praise him. We want to make him spiritually strong. The 2-0. Ichiro to right and deep. Back goes Parra to the wall, and it's off the wall. 3,000 is in right field, and Ichiro is racing for third. And he's done it. He's climbed the mountain. A triple. And he has arrived at 3,000. Parra made a leap for it and couldn't get it.
Baseball history made today. Came over as a 27-year-old as a rookie and has made it to 3,000 hits. He paved the way for the position players to come over here from Japan, and now he has paved his own path to Cooperstown.
Only the second in this club, which now has 30 members, only the second to do it in 16 seasons. Rose is the other. And Ichiro now is thinking about 90 feet and scoring this run. Mathis is up. Russin with a strike. A one-out triple. And a huge viewing audience in Japan for sure. Infield in, Mathis calls for time and steps out of the box. 2 for 3 is Mathis. Ichiro's second triple of the season. In his career, his 93rd triple. Don Mattingly out to talk to Andy Fletcher. And the conversation had to do with a balk call. Maybe the Marlins dugout was asking for a balk. Fletcher indicated it was Mathis that called for time. And it sounds like everybody is okay with that. Mattingly heads back to the dugout. Mathis back to the box.
Let's see what they're looking at here.
Mathis into center field. That's a base hit. Ichiro scores. 3 hits for Jeff Mathis. And Ichiro comes across. It's 9-6 Miami. Well, a big moment, obviously, in baseball history, but it fits perfectly with how Don Mattingly has used Ichiro. And that is in the context of winning games. He's not been a sideshow. Mattingly has used him when he's needed him, and he needed him today. And so Ichiro scores an important run. Mathis has driven in 3. And here is Echeverria. Echeverria off of Russin, who is hurt and limping, but gets the outs. And that can't feel good. It hit him flush.
Yeah, that out hurt.
And
that ball's right back up the middle. Take another look at it. Oh, right in the seat of the pants. Yeah, that one hurts.
Well, two things here. Mathis ends up at second, and Walt Weiss is going to make the change. Prado, even though he's hurt, made sure he had a ringside seat for that. Ichiro still getting hugs. Russin's coming out of the game. A lot going on in Colorado right now. 9-6 Miami.
Ichiro, congratulations on your 3,000th hit. What a great milestone, what a great career, what a wonderful, wonderful person and great baseball player you've been. See you in the Hall of Fame, my good friend.
That's the manager that when he got his first hit, kissed him. Lou Piniella, manager for the first couple seasons in Seattle. Marcell Ozuna at the plate, and Ozuna takes a strike. Rockies go to their bullpen. After Chris Russin is hit by that comebacker, you see Ozuna. Gonzalez, Herman. Jeff Mathis out in scoring position.
I like the use of Ozuna in this spot. Got a chance to drive in a run. Get one of your run producers up there.
A swing and a miss. This was a day off for Ozuna. That's why Ichiro got the start. Herman, an ERA in the mid-5s. And this game still feels like it's a long way from being done. And adding runs on, so important. 1-2. Two balls, two strikes. You got Gordon on deck. Marlins obviously will be going to their bullpen for the bottom of the 7th. And Ozuna sends it foul. So Ichiro has 3,000, and it's a triple. Ozuna swings and misses. Well, he's done it. Ichiro just over the glove of Gerardo Parra and into the history books at 3,000. All right, thank you, Craig. Yeah, those that have been playing along at home with those hit counter bobbleheads, 3,000 has arrived. He's only the second of the now 30 in the 3,000 hit club to triple for his 3,000th hit. Paul Molitor also tripled. And he's the third oldest to get there. Of course, he started at 27, and that's, to me, remains the most impressive thing. Everybody else in that club started at 23 or younger. And Ichiro started at 27.
I think it's fitting that he hit a triple, because both he and Molitor were both sprinting when they got to that 3,000 hit plateau. A lot of guys, if they're at the end, they're not looking good. They're trying to find a way. Ichiro's not that guy right now. He's hitting the ball on the nose, having great at-bats, stealing bases.
You're right about Molitor. He finished his career with a pretty good flourish when he got to 3,000. Charlie Blackmon now to the task at hand to make this day even sweeter. Nick Wickren is out of Miami's pen. And the Marlins need 9 outs, but there might not be 9 tougher outs in baseball than the last 9 at Coors Field. Good fastball, jams Blackman. Gordon calls and makes the catch. Hunter Cervenka made his Marlins debut. He pitched a scoreless 6th. And now Whitgren in the 7th.
Whitgren, in my opinion, has started to become one of those guys where you see him as a fit for a back end of a bullpen. He throws strikes. He's fearless. Pretty good with command. And the moment doesn't bother him.
LeMahieu rocks one into right field. But DJ LeMahieu has just been a demon in this series. I mean, that's his 6th hit. He's walked 5 times.
Look at your quote from his manager, Walt Rice. His approach is so consistent. He doesn't stray away from it. It's a rock-solid approach. He stays in his zone. He's matured as a hitter, and he doesn't expand for the pitcher much anymore. He's a tough out. That's your manager. And a guy who played as long as Walt Rice did, I think he knows what he's talking about.
Yeah, and we said it earlier, even though LeMahieu has some major awards, I think he's still under the radar somewhat across the country. Not obviously in Colorado, maybe not even in the National League West, but I think nationally he's a guy that doesn't get as much press as his skills and his performance deserves. David Dahl, who is 1 for 3. And in all of this Ichiro talk, Dahl right now is on a really interesting ride. He's hit in 13 straight games, and those happen to be his first 13 games in the major leagues. The all-time record, going back to 1913, is 17. And a guy that came 1 shy of that wore a Rocky uniform before a Marlin uniform. That was Juan Pierre, who got to 16 when he made his debut. Outside corner. And Whitgren gets a strikeout at Dahl and a big second out of the 7th inning.
Get a look at that last pitch from Whitgren. Target set up outside. Ball stays out there. Maybe gets a little help.
Arenado changed this game with 1 swing in the 5th. And he smokes one down the left field line. That's a fair ball, and it bounces up against the high wall. LeMahieu coming home. Yelich's throw is all the way to the plate. Whitgren is backing up, and it keeps the runner at second. But the Marlins can't contain Nolan Arenado. 2 homers, and now an RBI double.
Well, the Fish had done a good job holding him down all year. But the last 2 days, they've really seen what Arenado can do with the bat. Ball right on the line. In Coors Field, the balls down the line don't tend to hook foul as much. So the ball, if it hits down the line, is going to stay more true. That one got some chalk, and Arenado does it again. Another run produced.
Mark Reynolds now, 2 outs, and the Rockies are back within 2, 9-7. And again, the hardest 9 outs to get may be here in Denver in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. especially when you're trying to hold the lead. All right, the fact that Whitgren is pitching in the 7th, does that mean it's Bearclaw in the 8th and not Rodney?
Possibly.
One and two. Well, this guy can tie the game with one swing. Reynolds has popped 12 homers this year. He's had some massive home run seasons. 44 in 2009. And Whitgren trying to get that corner, and he misses. 2-2. So Ichiro has 3,000. Now the Marlins are trying to get win number 59. And he got him. That man Arenado again knocks in a run. And it's a 2-run Miami lead. Now there are 30 of them. Wagner, Cobb, the Sehey kid, Pete Rose, Roberto Clemente, all with 3,000. The great Tony Gwynn. And now Ichiro. Only the second of the 30 to triple. And he does it here in Denver on this glorious Sunday. Marlins flooded the field. About a minute and a half standing ovation from the fans here at Coors Field. And now the Marlins will try to win this ball game with a 2-run lead entering the 8th inning. It's the top of the order. Ichiro going to get another at bat in this ball game. D. Gordon, Miguel Rojas, and Christian Yelich. Gordon shortening to bunt again. And remember, we saw earlier in the game, Gordon going into first, jamming that right shoulder. In his last at bat, he tried to bunt with the first pitch and with 1 strike. Takes fastball there. Boone Logan out of the Rockies pen. Gordon to right. And it's Parra fighting the son who makes the catch. Rojas does bunt. And it's bobbled and dropped and kicked. And maybe even stepped on. He did a little bit of everything to that baseball. Did Boone Logan.
Yeah, good idea, just bad direction on the bunt. And somebody just blew a whistle and called traveling on 48.
It's going to be an error on Boone Logan. And the Marlins have their bats coming up here with Yelich, Stanton, Dietrich, then Ichiro. And looking for insurance. Ball in the dirt. Now I asked Preston the question with Nick Whitgren pitching in the bottom of the 7th, who might handle the 8th? And it's Kyle Bearclaw right now who's up. Of course, Fernando Rodney has had 2 really rough 8th innings on this road trip. Yelich gets into one, drives it right center field. Blackman chasing, and it's off the wall. Rojas around third, and Yelich drives in a big run here in the 8th. 3rd RBI for Yelich in the ball game. 10-7 Miami now. That's a long ways to right center field.
He gets such extension on that, head buried down on contact. He makes it look effortless, but he can hit the ball a long way. That ball's on the line. And we often spoke about not giving teams extra opportunities. A mishandled play put a runner on first. That run ends up scoring. That's what happens in this ballpark. It happens in other ballparks as well, but there's more hits. There are more hits to be had because of the space, the acreage of this outfield.
Three 3-0 to Giancarlo Stanton as he's being intentionally walked. Derek Dietrich is on deck, and now Dietrich heads back to the dugout, and Chris Johnson has emerged. The Marlins are playing with a short bench, and B, without Martin Prado now, who fouled a pitch off his foot earlier in the ball game. So keep that in mind as Don Mattingly makes these moves. He doesn't have a lot of maneuverability. Stanton at first, Yelich at second, and Johnson hitting here against the lefty. Johnson a double last night and a single in the first game. He takes a strike.
Logan took a long look at that one. I think he wanted that pitch.
And he gets a strike on Johnson. And it's 1-2. One out. Ichiro waits on deck. 3,000 in the books, a triple last inning. And a comebacker. Logan looks at third, goes to second, and there's still enough time to get the double play. You don't see that very often. Miami gets another and leads by 3. 10-7 Marlins and Rockies. Bottom 8 here. Ichiro with a triple for number 3,000. And on Marlins Live, brought to you by Checkers, we will have his post-game press conference live from Denver. And so make sure you're with us after the ball game. Ichiro with his interpreter, Alan Turner. Now remember back to San Diego and the press conference Preston he gave there. There was a lot of questions about Pete Rose, and Rose had been very, I don't want to say surly about it, but certainly not graceful. And Ichiro said, look, if you want to celebrate it, that's fine. If you don't, I'm okay. And then he paused and he said, but 3,000 is legit.
And yes, it is. And I'll put it like this. He came over at 27 after having to play 9 years in Japanese baseball. They did the numbers. He only had to hit 280
in 7 of those years.
In 7 of those years to have passed Pete Rose in a number of hits. So I feel like Pete Rose kind of took it in a direction that it didn't need to go. Nobody was saying Ichiro was better than Pete Rose. They weren't saying he was replacing him. It's just numbers.
Gerardo Parra now, and it's Kyle Bearclaw who's in for Miami. And Bearclaw gets a strike. This inning has been troublesome for the Fish on this road trip. Wednesday's meltdown in Chicago started in the 8th, finished in the 9th, with Rodney in the 8th, Ramos in the 9th. And of course here in that wild game 1, again Rodney faltered in the 8th inning and gave up 3 runs, gave up the lead, but the Marlins roared back and won it in the 9th. Rolled over on it. There's Chris Johnson. And he steps on the bag. Johnson staying in after hitting for Dietrich. So Bearclaw has the first out. Now here's the deal, Preston, as you look at it and project ahead. The Marlins would love Bearclaw to go 1-2-3, because if he can do that, then Ramos would face 9-1-2. And you really want to stay away from Arenado in that 9th inning. Arenado's in the 4 spot. Adames getting the start, and he's 1 for 3 with an RBI. So the Ichiro press conference, we will have it live. Two 2-0. And I'm sure a lot of Ichiro factoids, 3,000 hit club notes coming your way on the postgame show as well. Little tapper out towards Echevarria. Fires to first in time. And Adames is out number 2. And here is Walters. Ichiro will lead it off in the 9th. He's the 4th in the 30 on the 3,000 hit club to be born outside the United States. Roberto Clemente, Puerto Rico, the Panamanian Rod Carew, and Rafael Palmeiro in Cuba. The other thing that's unique about the moment, it's the first time that Coors Field has ever seen a 3,000th hit, and there really aren't that many ballparks that are left. The pitch is a strike. You know, the oldest, Wrigley and Fenway, each have 1. Yastrzemski in 79 and Musial in 58 as a pinch hitter at Wrigley. New Yankee Stadium has A-Rod and Jeter. Biggio did his in Houston at Minute Maid. Palmeiro actually did it in front of Ichiro at Safeco Field. Wade Boggs, Tropicana Field. Paul Molitor, Kauffman Stadium. And in Anaheim, you have George Brett and Rod Carew, because the Big A has been around since the 60s. But, you know, there's some ballparks out there you're thinking, Dodger Stadium hasn't seen it. Oakland's been online since the 60s, has not seen a 3,000th hit. Kyle Bearclaw not only handles the 8th, he goes 1-2-3 through the Rockies in the 8th. 10-7, Miami on top. Ichiro goes for 3,001. The 2-0. Ichiro to right and deep. Back goes Parra to the wall, and it's off the wall. 3,000 is in right field, and Ichiro is racing for third. And he's done it. He's climbed the mountain. A triple. Well, that was quite a moment. He has arrived at 3,000. Ichiro a triple, just the second of the 30 to triple. He and Paul Molitor share that distinction. And that was a big moment in the game in terms of The score, Ichiro's triple in the 7th. He would score on a Jeff Mathis single, an insurance run for Miami, who leads at 10-7 now. And Ichiro climbs in to lead off the 9th. Boone Logan continues. Ichiro's triple was against a lefty. And the count, 1 ball and 1 strike. It's Jake McGee out on the mound, and he misses outside. Three and one. So 1 for 4. Second triple. And you wonder if now that he's there, if there's a flood of hits that follow.
I thought the big hit he got was the one that he got to snap that 0 for 11 streak.
And he fouls that one back.
After that, his at-bats have been better and better.
You talked about the pressure that he felt coming over, and that, as Ichiro said, all that pressure he felt was coming from Japan. All the hopes and dreams of Japanese baseball arriving with him. He's only been on the disabled list 1 time, and that was for an ulcer. And that came right after the World Baseball Classic when he was representing Japan. He did not have a great tournament, though he had the game-winning hit in the championship game. And so that's it. The only time he's been on the DL was an ulcer. Battling with Jake McGee here. Fastball in, Ichiro walks. And here comes Mathis, who's had a very productive day. 3 for 4 with 3 runs driven in. Well, this is interesting. It's Fernando Rodney in the pen. Mathis swings and misses. It's 0-1.
And I know Fernando's had a few bad outings, but I think the one thing you also have to look at when you're tossing it up between Ramos and Rodney right now is Rodney was still throwing strikes. And even though he may not have had great outings, he was still throwing strikes. Mechanically, Ramos needs to get sound again. There's getting hit, and then there's not throwing strikes.
And so both guys have struggled.
Right.
And so it looks like Rodney will get a crack at the Rockies in the bottom of the 9th. Ichiro's at first. Now Ichiro this year has swiped 9 bags. Oh-2. It's in. And it's 1-2 to Mathis. Mathis came in with just 12 runs driven in this year. He's knocked in 3 today. And remember, he had a 2-run homer on Wednesday, his last start. in Chicago.
Well, I said maybe they should let Rodney every now and then close a game or finish a game just to kind of give him an edge, see if that changes the execution. Which, by the way, I took a lot of guff for that one. Just because, you know, well, how do you want to put a guy in that situation if he's not pitching well? I understand why people feel that way, but there also are different things in play mentally for a guy that's been a closer. I think Rodney's got the third most closes in baseball during the time that he's been playing.
2-2. And Mathis strikes out. McGee with a good fastball. And Echeverria coming up.
So we're not saying take Ramos's job. We're just saying do something different.
Well, it's hard to know what the case is and why he's up, but we'll find out certainly on Marlins Live post-game. MLB.TV Premium, every out-of-market regular season game on over 4,000 supported devices. MLB.TV, the place to go for details. And again, Ichiro's press conference will be carried live here on Fox Sports Florida. And that is immediately following the ball game here in Denver. We'll have Don Mattingly's thoughts not only on Ichiro but also on this game, and we'll hear what the plan is or was for the ninth inning. And Echeverria behind the count 0-2. Pitcher spot is on deck, and JT Realmuto occupies the on-deck circle. I don't think this has been an easy one for anybody on the mound. Strike three called. Echeverria goes down, and McGee gets a pair of strikeouts. And there's your Fox Tracks look. Plenty of the plate, and he got the knees. So here's Realmuto. So Don Mattingly has essentially used everybody on his bench. He had to put Rojas in the game when Prado left with a hurt foot. Prado bounced one off his foot and could not continue his at bat. Johnson's in the game. Ozuna has pinch hit. And that's it. Oh, 0-2. Rockies will have 9-1-2 due up. And Ichiro chased back. .507 career stolen bases for Ichiro. Realmuto with the count 1-2. JT had a couple doubles late last night. Also doubled on Friday night.
Just a very solid, good young player, Real Muto. He's a guy that when you watch him daily, you come away more and more impressed. Not just with his ability, but he also has worked on his weaknesses. So you know he's a prideful player as far as not wanting anything to get by that he could have had a chance to do better that he didn't.
Count runs even out 2-2. Ten runs, 16 hits for Miami. 7 runs, 9 hits for Colorado. 2 of those 9 hits are home runs by Nolan Arenado. A 3-run shot and a solo homer. Real Muto lines it to left. That's a hit. Dahl picks it up. A pinch hit for JT. And that gets Gordon and at bat. So many storylines here today. Front and center. And the screaming headline is Ichiro gets 3,000 with a triple. The others, well, you can go in any direction there. Giancarlo Stanton homering again. Martin Prado with 3 hits. Jeff Mathis 3 hits and 3 RBIs. But one headline that is yet to be written is who's closing if the Marlins need a save in the bottom of the 9th. Kyle Bearclaw pitched the 8th. Fernando Rodney, who had struggled his last 2 8th innings, is warming up in the Marlins pen for the bottom of the 9th. Gordon smacks one foul. And there is Rodney, the pitcher spot due to leadoff. Then you've got Blackmon, LeMahieu, Dahl, Arenado. Dahl and Arenado are 4-5 in the inning. So don't go anywhere. And of course, post game on Marlins Live, we will have Ichiro's press conference live here from Denver. Don Mattingly and his post-game comments. Certainly a lot of them on Ichiro. And I'm sure he'll address the ball game, whether it's Stanton or Mathis or Prado's foot. It's all coming up. Checkers brings you Marlins Live immediately following the game. 0-2 to D. Got him with a breaking ball. So, who would have thought it's Fernando Rodney who's coming in to try to save this ball game? At the foot of the Rocky Mountains, history today. Ichiro's 3,000, a triple, and the Marlins will try to finish the day with a win. To do that, they need 3 outs. To get those 3 outs, the Marlins have Fernando Rodney on the mound. Rodney, an all-star closer. When he arrived in Miami, he slid into the 8th inning with A.J. Ramos in the 9th. Difficulties for Rodney and 2 real rough rides on this road trip. In the 8th on Wednesday at Wrigley Field, Friday here at Coors Field. Ramos did not warm up. Bearclaw handled the 8th. And Rodney gets Daniel Descalso, Charlie Blackmon, and DJ LeMahieu. And trouble lurks after that trio. Those guys can do damage. But David Dahl and then Nolan Arenado, who's homered twice. 3 runs and got just 1 out. And that was on Friday night. Descalso pinch hitting. And we'll see if a shot of adrenaline is what Fernando Rodney needed.
Good start. First pitch strike.
Second pitch to the screen. It's a ball and a strike. Miami looking to win the series. Trying to get back to 7 over. Descalso, sharp ground ball. Gordon has it on to first. And there's the first out.
They like changing, well, the Rockies like having change-up pitchers in this environment simply because you don't have to worry about a guy being so conscious of his curveball, say, oh, it doesn't break at this altitude. So I think Fernando Rodney actually doesn't mind pitching here. You just got to throw the ball in the right locations. I think Pedro Eustacio proved that that changeup works at any altitude.
That's a good point. Maybe that's the key to Jorge De La Rosa's success as well, the lefty of the Rockies. Blackmon RBI single. That was in the third. Rodney. And he gets a strike. Blackmon trying to send it up into the seats. San Francisco tomorrow night. Jose Fernandez, Johnny Cueto. 6:30 for Marlins Live. All 3 games of the Giants series will be on television, including the Wednesday game. There's that matchup. Cueto and Jose. Cueto having an outstanding season at 13-3, a 2.73 earned run average. Jose 12-6 at 2.87. And Rodney goes 3-1 now. And again, it's the 5 spot that has to be of concern, and that's Arenado, who's homered twice and doubled in the ball game. Arenado's driven in 5 runs. Marlins sent Jose Fernandez back to Miami today.
Good call.
And hopefully Jose is enjoying it. He was able to see Ichiro's 3,000. 3-2. Rodney going with fastball there, 94 miles an hour.
This is a fastball only situation in my opinion. You're up by 3 runs. If he hits a solo home run, who cares?
Count still full. Into the bat. It's Rojas who bare hands and got him. Miguel Rojas gets Blackmon at first. Channeling his inner Arenado. How about that play?
This play is just phenomenal. Comes in, ball kicks a little towards the line, gets plenty on it, and that's a leadoff hitter that's running down that line. Charlie Blackmon can roll. But Rojas said, you know, this is how I rock.
Yeah. D says 2 things there. Great play, and my shoulder feels okay.
It's better now.
Here's LeMahieu. And a good pitch by Rodney as well to get that ground ball. Bare hands, grips, and rips.
And all of that happens in the blink of an eye.
Wow, back of glove just before the foot hit the bag. So 2 outs. And a fastball in.
I want to note a good stretch by Chris Johnson as well. He actually had his throwing side foot on the bag, and that allowed him to get further extension out. Sometimes you see first baseman with that glove foot on the bag to try to give a square target, but he got much more extension doing it that way.
Outside corner, it's 2-1. LeMahieu's walked twice, singled, lined out. Ichiro's press conference live coming up. A little dribbler. It's going to stay fair. Mathis wheels and throws and got him. How about that play? Ball game. And Fernando Rodney launches an arrow into the Colorado sky on a historic Sunday. 10-7. Ichiro. 3,000. Look at Yelich and Stanton letting Ichiro lead the way. A great piece of history and a big win for the Marlins here in Denver. Ichiro a triple to get to 3,000. The Marlins take the series